Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you today to our session here. I've got my amazing friend, Melissa Clymer. She has an amazing background. I'm just fascinated, and I think you'll be really fascinated by with what she has to share with you. Just really quickly, I met Melissa because of her work as a certified aromatherapist back when I was really starting to learn about essential oils and getting a little dangerous with my knowledge because it was a lot of misinformation and inaccurate and not safe. I found Melissa, who kind of put me on the right path. But Melissa is so much more than just being a certified aromatherapist. She has done a lot of work with flower essences, with Reiki and crystal therapy, also telling me a lot about homeopathic remedies. And you're now in naturopathy school. Isn't that correct, Melissa?
I am, correct. And I start homeopathy school this fall.
Amazing, amazing. So if you
Thank
guys
you.
don't know Melissa, you need to look her up. Her website is sweetwillowspirits.com.
Yep, no S,
Okay.
sweetwillowspirit.com.
Okay. I probably should have done my homework a little bit better, sorry.
No, it's all good.
But take a look for her or look up her Facebook page, and you will be just blown away by what she offers, her knowledge base, just like I was blown away. So I know
Thank
everybody
you.
who's watching this will appreciate and be able to get a lot of value from you. But today I want to really focus our topic on emotions, because right now we think of our emotions and we usually think about, psychiatric illnesses, and which means traditional pharmaceutical medications. But there's so much more about emotions than just those diagnoses that we have from traditional medicine. So because you have such an alternative healing background, can you talk to me about, what do you usually use when somebody comes to you for emotional issues, and what does that mean to you?
Well, one of the first things that I'd reach for are flower essences, just because they work so well with emotions and they help to uproot the actual emotion in the body to heal you. So if you don't have these emotions uprooted and they are still stuck in the body, they can manifest as physical things. So the liver is associated with anger. So if you have a lot of anger going on in your life and you don't deal with it in a healthy way, you can actually have liver issues. And I know this to be a fact because I come from a family that we're German, and we have a lot of emotions, and anger is one of them. And I do believe that when I had my liver surgery 2 years ago, that it came from a lot of anger, because I am a naturally angry person and I haven't dealt with it in a healthy way. So I had, yes. And this is all things that I've been learning about in my studies, and it absolutely makes sense. Your kidneys are associated with fear, and if you have a lot of urinary tract infections and things like that, you should look at the emotional side of it, because that is something that we are not looking at in allopathic medicine. We're not emotional beings. We don't have a spiritual side. We are just this physical being, and it's important to look at these things because it really truly does affect your physical health.
Mhm. I think that's fascinating, especially flower essences. I don't think that's really found its way into kind of mainstream society, if you can call it that, the way I know like
Correct.
essential oils have just kind of like exploded onto the scene.
Right.
Herbal remedies have always been around there. But flower essences are something new, and I know they're new to my world, put it that way. So can you talk to me, what are flower essences? Are they, I guess I'm assuming that they're not essential oils. So what
Correct.
are they?
Okay, so a flower essence differs from an essential oil in the fact that it is not an actual substance. So when you use a flower essence, you don't have to worry about drug interactions or any medications or contraindications or anything that you're already doing, because it cannot hurt you. So basically what they do is they take the stems or the roots or the flowers of a plant, depending on what you use for herbalism, and they put them in a bowl. Like you get a bowl and you have spring water in it. So then you put these ingredients, whichever ones that you want to use, on the top of the water, and you put it out either in the moonlight or the sunlight, because the sun or the moon will help potentize this water. So the spring water will pick up the energy of the plants. So by using the sun, it is making all that energy from that material, that plant material, go into the water, and then they strain off the plant material and they use that water to help heal you, because flower essences are a study of homeopathy, where like heals like. So if you go into the forest and you see an aspen tree, aspens quake, right? So they quake, and an aspen flower essence can help somebody who is jittery or, anxious all the time or things like that. Mm-hmm. So they're using this water to help you, because it's the frequency that we're wanting. We want to use the energetic property of that plant to mix with our energetic side to help us heal on a much, much higher level.
So if I'm understanding correctly, I mean, a lot of people talk about grounding, and going out into the forest and just kind of, how much better they feel and how much more grounded and relief of stress by being in the woods, because they're really picking up that vibrational energy of all of the trees and the leaves that are growing. So flower essences, what you're saying, is taking that energy and putting it in a bottle and infusing water with it. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Okay, so that's really interesting to me. And I'll be honest, it's a little woo-woo when we talk about capturing energy. For what comes to mind is an old Sesame Street little snippet with Bert and Ernie, where I think Bert is trying to sell Kermit some air, a jar of air. So that's what this reminds me of
Correct.
When we start talking about flower essences. But just to, for some of our viewers here, just to let them know, I've been doing a lot of research and increasing my own knowledge about flower essences and energy work. And it really boils back down to understanding quantum physics. I mean, you and I just talked before we came on here about that. And quantum physics is real. And I'm not going to give a whole dissertation about that, because honestly, I don't understand it, but I know enough to know that everything is constantly vibrating. And if we all remember back to high school science class, anything that vibrates is energy. So waves are emitting energy. So if you think about that, the plants that you're now using to make these flower essences, it's that energy that they're giving off from that vibration that you're then capturing into the water, so that vibration is still going on within the water. And then that's what I'm assuming that we ingest the flower essences. Is that correct?
You can ingest them. You can mix them in some sort of lotion and place them on the body. Bach, who developed the flower essences, there's a book out there on body mapping. So there are actual places on the body that you can put certain flower essences to help with physical pain, emotional pain, whatever it is that you have going on, because not necessarily is it all just, okay, so I feel like I'm anxious all the time. Well, that could be stemming from something else, and you might actually develop a rash someplace on your body because of these emotions. So you can use the flower essences to help with that rash topically. So it all depends. I personally like to take them internally, because it's only 1 to 2 drops, maybe 3 drops, depending on, how I feel that day, up to 10 times a day.
Okay. So this is really fascinating, especially for emotions, because as you mentioned before, a lot of the emotions that we are dealing with, they start having physical manifestations, and we, just because of the world we live in, we're not trained to really think of that, make that association, and certainly not our traditional medical field to make that association between emotional issues and physical ailments. So you said flower essences are a great way of getting to the root cause of the physical ailment and
Correct.
dealing with the emotion that's kind of causing that disruption of energy. So I guess you would have to really be able to then articulate, or have somebody articulate what that emotion is. So is there a way that you teach people about how to touch base and get in touch with what emotions they're having? I mean, because most people think of emotional issues as being like I said before, like depression or anxiety, or even just the generic fear and worry, but is there another way that we can find and describe what those emotions are?
It doesn't necessarily have to be your typical emotions, because sometimes, when you wake up and you just feel a little off, have you ever had that? You just get out of bed, or, you're going to bed and you just feel defeated, or, you just really can't put your finger on the exact emotion that you're feeling, but you just don't feel right. At that point, did you think back? What happened during the day? What happened that could have possibly triggered that? Was it a traumatic event? Did somebody hurt your feelings? Was it more of an emotion where it was painful? There are certain criteria with a lot of these flower essences that we look for to decide on which ones we want to use for certain things. But then there's also, you can make a blend. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just one emotion that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
You can work with a lot. And a lot of the flower essences do similar things. So you can choose, up to 7 different remedies to put in your own remedy to take on a daily basis. And then as you go on and you're using these, your thought processes, your emotions will change. So your remedy will change as well. It's not something that you use every day, all day for the rest of your life.
So, with the flower essences, is it like a traditional medication where you'll feel a difference within, the first hour or two, where you've had that immediate relief? Or is it something that's kind of, because it's an energetic thing that you kind of need to almost build up to like a therapeutic level? How does that all work? I'm kind of confused about that.
Everybody's different. It's going to depend on you, how you respond to it. How long has that emotion been going on with you? Is this something that, say with me, with anger, is it something that is triggered all the time by different things, but it's still considered anger? So even though I'm having it pop up on different days, it's still something that happened way back when. So it's still considered anger. So it's deep seated. Even though each day it's different, it's still going back to the root of whatever happened so long ago that triggered it.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, it would probably take a lot longer to help. But for something that just popped up, like say you had a traumatic event, say you lost somebody very dear to you suddenly, or say somebody just said something that was very hurtful and it hurt your feelings. Bach has a rescue remedy that is good for so many different things, but it doesn't necessarily have to be traumatic to you. Somebody else could have dealt with the trauma. So now you're feeling that energy too. It can help that way too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you manifest yourself. It could be something that somebody else is going through that is near and dear to you, that is traumatic to them. So then you can take it and help yourself because you're still feeling the pain that they are.
Okay. So, one of the groups that I work with very closely are moms of preteens and teenage daughters. And one of the biggest struggles that I keep hearing over and over and over again from these moms is this attitude that their teen is throwing at them, or these, this real anger that they hate their mom, they hate their house, they hate their life, they hate. There's so much anger being thrown at the moms. And the moms are often, reaching out to us and asking, what can we do? I'm not really sure what to do. How do I handle this? So would flower essences be something that could be used in that kind of situation for the teen and for the mom?
Absolutely.
Like the rescue remedy that you mentioned that seems to be like almost like a multivitamin, like kind of like multi-purpose.
Yes, it is. But don't forget that just the mom is not the only one affected by this teen's behavior. Because if there are other people in the family that are witnessing this power struggle between the two, they're being affected too, as well as your animals. Don't forget about the animals in the home too, because they see the friction and they see the tense, body language and things. And I know when I raise my voice to my children, I'm not even talking to my German Shepherd, but she runs and hides, So don't forget about all these other people in the home, because they all can benefit from this. I put rescue remedy in my dog's water. It won't hurt them in no way, shape, or form, but it can only help. And the great thing about it is that you can't overdose on it. I could take the whole bottle and drink it, and it's not going to do anything, adversely to me. I might have like a huge healing day, but it's not going to hurt me in any way.
Right. Because as you mentioned, because there's no actual, it's the energy of the plant.
Correct.
It's not the actual plant itself. So you don't have to worry about that toxic dose of, chemicals being, even though they're naturally found, being entered into the body and having that kind of adverse event or drug interactions, as you mentioned before.
Exactly.
So would you almost recommend or not, I shouldn't say recommend, would you almost have people think about using something like that just as almost preventative, like a multivitamin? Like a lot of times we tell people, oh, you should take a multivitamin every day because, you know, the typical diet is not meeting up all of your vitamins and mineral needs. So would that be something that people might want to investigate if that's right for them, is taking, you know, a rescue remedy every day? Or is it one of those things where
Right.
you really shouldn't be taking it if you don't need it?
Correct. The latter. So, okay, so if you're using essential oils to help boost your immune system, that's not what they're used for. You know, you're supposed to use things after you become, you know, if you have some sort of issue going on. You don't want to use something because it's not going to help you become immune to that. You're still going to have that issue or whatever is going to happen no matter what. So the best thing to do is to use them when you need them, because homeopathy can't prevent things, but it can help you deal with the things that you have going on.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really key, though. You just said they can't, it's not preventative, it's not
No.
prophylactic, it's like kind of in the moment. So like if I think about my own daughter who, you know, homework time is always a big struggle for different reasons. And, you know, it causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm. So I shouldn't be giving her like these flower essences all day, every day, because I know this is an ongoing issue. I should wait until that moment happens and then give it to her. Is that what you're suggesting of how these are used?
Okay, so for that, this is something that's an ongoing basis and it's a daily struggle. So
Mm-hmm.
you already have pinpoint that there is an issue. So you could be giving her the flower essences every day, you know, multiple times a day, because it is indicated that she has this issue going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you may or you may not, depending on the remedy that you choose, get to the root of the cause over time, and it will help make those blow ups and those issues at the homework time less and less.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
We want to find a remedy that is perfect for the person, that just helps them. And all of a sudden, it's not like you snap your fingers and everybody's better. All of a sudden, it doesn't seem to be like an issue anymore. And I have found that when, over last summer, when our dog was brutally killed at our cabin, we had a lot of trauma in our family. Like, we were using rescue remedy hand over fist because we had to deal with all these different emotions. So one day I forgot to take it. And then I forgot to take it the next day. And I totally forgot for like a week. That to me was an indication that I don't need it anymore. I'm okay. So, and I don't feel like I do need it anymore. And then, you know, I thought, well, So then I went back to my, you know, flower essence studies and thought, do I need something different? So I just changed the remedy up to deal with different things that were happening because of the result of, you know, what happened with the rescue remedy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, this is such great information.
Thank you.
I mean, we haven't even touched on some other areas that I thought we would touch on, and we're starting to run out of time. But one thing I want to ask you is, because these appear to be pretty safe remedies, you know, using flower essences, is it something where people can just kind of do their own research and kind of start playing with it on their own, or should they really seek out somebody who has the skills and the knowledge base that can make more targeted recommendations and suggestions to them?
It all depends on what you feel comfortable with. I mean, anybody can go online and order the remedies.
Right.
There's 38 different remedies plus the rescue remedy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, you know, do your own research. Will it work? Maybe. Will it not work? Maybe. You know, you just never know, because as a Bach flower practitioner, you know, there are other things that you have to look for, because not necessarily, you know, say I'm scared. Well, why are you scared? Well, I don't know. Well, you know, there are different flower essences for fear based on things that you know, or things that can be seen, or things that you don't know. You know, there just are different remedies for these things. It all depends on your comfort level. Do you think you can do it? I mean, and then you also have to know how to make your remedy. So when I make mine, these remedies have alcohol in them, and the alcohol is used to preserve them. Because if you have water over time, you know, pretty much right away, it's going to start to breed bacteria. And we want to make sure that, you know, nobody's getting sick from having bad water. So in the remedies, the actual remedies themselves are preserved with brandy. And when I make my remedies for people, then based on their criteria, I use vodka. So at least 25% of the bottle that I make is vodka. And it's okay to use them on children because you're only using 1 or 2 drops of this heavily diluted solution, throughout the day, or however it is that you choose, you feel that it should be used.
Hmm.
Then, we just want to make sure that we're preserving it in the proper way. You can't just use water, but there are, like, for people that are opposed to alcohol or cannot have alcohol due to allergies or whatever it is, there are different remedies that you can buy that are, I think, made with a vegetable glycerin to preserve them.
Hmm.
But you'll have to search for them. They're harder to find because that's not the normal, easier way to use them. It takes a lot more work to preserve them that way.
So you mentioned something that made me think, you said that you make your own remedies and there's preservatives. So is this something where you actually, when you buy a bottle, it's actually a concentrate almost, and then you
Yes.
basically have to dilute it? Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So,
On the bottles themselves, I do believe it says take 1 to 2 drops every so often. I can't remember what it says, but you can also take that and make it into, because that's like a stock blend. So that one's very powerful. You can just put it in your own, like 1 ounce container with a dropper on it, and, use that every day.
okay. So basically, if people are wanting to start experimenting and with the flower essences, they should really start doing some research before they just start
Correct.
buying, one of the 38, is that what you said? Different
There are
flower
38.
recipes.
Yep.
For remedies that
There
are out
are.
there. So really do their research about how to use them. And also, like you said, just pinpointing some of and fine tuning what emotions are coming up, because like the example that you gave, I thought was great with fear. It's like, well, what is it that you're afraid of? Is it like, are you afraid of dogs, or you're afraid of the unknown? Are you afraid of a dark room?
Right.
Can you pinpoint it so it's almost easier for you, at least as a practitioner, to pinpoint what might be a better fit. But even for you, it's a
Correct.
lot of guesswork. So but people can, start getting familiar with it and seeing what will work for them.
Correct. And when somebody says, I have pain in my knee. Well, okay, so can you elaborate on that? Well, I have pain in my knee when I move it. Okay. Did you bump your knee? Well, no. Tell me some things that have been happening with you. Okay, well, I've been dealing with a lot of drama in my life. Okay, well, that makes sense. So now at least I have a place to start, because when you use these, it's kind of more like, it's not cut and dried. You have to look at read between the lines. Okay, so I say this, but I'm really actually meaning that. So it's kind of like you have to just dive deeper and ask lots of questions to figure out the best remedy. And a lot of times people don't feel like these things work because they're not choosing the proper remedies.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like, you have to really get in touch with what's going on with you. And I guess it's hard if you're basically like a mom helping her daughter or her teenager with emotional issues, because a lot of times they don't
Right.
really know the right words. So it's a lot of guesswork, I guess, from you as a mom. But if you're basically using these flower essences for yourself, it's important, from what I'm hearing, is that you start digging in a little deeper and finding out, well, what does that really mean? What does this emotion really mean? Because
Right.
the bottom line from what I'm hearing from you is that obviously everybody wants to get to this baseline level of feeling good, because
Correct.
everything else is bad, right?
Right. Well, everybody wants to feel like normal, or whatever they feel that normal is.
Hmm.
So when you're working with these, just like with essential oils, they are concentrated. So you want to make sure that you're using the proper dilution, which with the remedies, it's not as big a deal as it is with the essential oils. So we just want to make sure that you're using the proper remedies, and that it's working for you. Because like I said, when I first started working with the rescue remedy, I forgot to take it. Well, then all these other emotions were popping up. So sometimes one remedy will unlock other things, because if you know anything about homeopathy heals like versus like. Well, then it also heals from the inside out and from the top down. So if you have emotions that are, coming out as far as anxiety, you can help, those anxious feelings, but then all of a sudden now you have tummy troubles or things like that. So it's starting here and it's going down. So like in other types of homeopathy, when you're choosing a remedy to help with something, somebody may have say skin issues, and the skin issues are starting on the face. All of a sudden the skin issues on the face are better, but now you have skin issues on the belly. Well, great, the skin issues on the belly are better, but now you have them on the feet. So people think that they're not getting better, that they're getting worse. Well, in actuality, what it is it's healing you from the correct way. It's starting from the inside out and going down.
Mm-hmm. So it's really layers. So as you're starting to heal one layer, something else may rise to the top, and once you heal that layer, then something else might rise to the top. So all of these layers. And I guess that's why you said, getting really to the root cause and identifying it is really how these flower essences work. Oh my gosh, this is so, I could keep talking because I'm just so fascinated by this. And I hope that, people watching this will, have learned something new. Like I said, I'd never heard of flower essences until, I saw you talking about it. And I think it's such a great thing for everybody to really start exploring and really understanding how they can utilize it, especially because there's really no adverse effects that can happen, no drug interactions. So there's a lot of those things that you don't need to worry about that you do need to worry about with using actual whole plants of some sort.
Correct.
So
Correct.
What a great thing to have in our home first aid kit, I would say, in our medicine cabinet, those flower essences. And you said there was a particular brand called Box. Are there other brands out there, or is that primarily one?
Well, since Dr. Bach is the one that came up with this idea, those are the ones that are the most prominent and the ones that I know about. I have made my own, because Bach doesn't have rose. And rose is one of my favorite things to work with because it deals a lot with love in the heart. So I made my own rose, but, people can make their own as well. It's just, I like the Bach because they're already ready to go. They already have their information as far as, this will help pretty much with this and this and this. So, and they've already been proven that they do help. So, I just kind of like to stay with, it's already out there.
It's a brand name that's been around for, when did Dr. Bach come up with the
oh my goodness. In the 1800s, I believe.
Oh, so it's not like just in the 1960s.
No. Well, Samuel Hahnemann is the one that started with homeopathy. So, and that was a long time ago as well. So it's been well over 100 years. Okay. So, this isn't something that just was like fly by night. Oh yeah, here, let's try this. It's been around for a long time.
Well, that's good to know. Just to reassure anybody here who's tuning in that, this is not something brand new. It's been around. Obviously, people have had a lot of success and relief by using it. And it's really something that I think probably everybody should start exploring and starting to incorporate into their own arsenal of home natural remedies.
I agree. And on my website, under services, it says flower essences. I have a frequently asked questions page where you can learn a lot more about them, like a lot more than what we talked about today, just if you have questions on how they work and why do they work and things like that. So,
oh, that's great. I'm going to include a link with this whole recording so people can go directly to that if they have more questions. And of course, obviously with that link, they'll know how to find you and contact you directly. So that's excellent. Excellent. Well, like I said, I could keep going on and on. It's just fascinating.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, we're out of time. I'll definitely have to have you back and we can talk about some other things and, all of the other things that you do with crystals and essential oils and Reiki and blah, 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 blah.
Thank you.
But thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate you being here and taking the time out to talk to us about these flower essences. I hope everybody else enjoyed the time too.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to have been asked. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.